Welcome to the Off Nerd Podcast, ghouls and gals. This is your main host, Kyle, along with my gaming co-host, Andrew.
Hello.
We are in our second week of our Spooky Spectacular month. And we are going to go over some great stuff and then talk about the horror games that we have selected for the month to play. So, to start off our news section, they revealed one of the gym leaders for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Ooh.
She is a media influencer.
Where did they ever get that idea from?
Right? With magnemites in her hair. Like they're stuck to her head.
Wait, like...
And they're apparently alive because they try to wink at you, I guess. It's very, very weird. It's like... Did you watch that by chance?
You know what? I actually didn't watch that, but hearing you describe it, I'm okay with that. Like...
You should, because we're supposed to tomorrow get a full reveal of like some of the new Pokemon. She's going to talk about some stuff. Like they're doing it like she's an eye personality, like one of those.
Oh, like a Hollow Live or whatever they are.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Those
it's very weird.
Hollow streamers or something.
They're already talking about canceling her because they already feel that she's toxic in some ways. They're worried about how she's dressed because I guess she's dressed too provocatively.
What is too provocatively?
She's got a tube top, and people are freaking the fuck out.
A tube?
Because they said it technically might be see-through. They're not sure.
Is this the 1950s? What's going on here?
People are getting, because it's a Pokemon game. So, but they don't remember Blue and Red had like the slutty chicks that were like those date escort things like they do in Japan, except for they're Pokemon trainers.
I'd be very concerned about how they're treating their Pokemon. I'd be very, very concerned about that.
So that was the first bit of news. We're supposed to get more reveals tomorrow of like some of the new Pokemon and stuff. They did like a little mini update on that as well, revealing some of the gameplay modes and how they're going to handle some things. I guess you can do it in a 3-branch system. One is the standard gym challenge. The second one is re-beating all the new evil team and getting them back into the school. And then the other one's like solve the legendary mystery.
Solve the legendary mystery?
Yeah, like there's going to be some new legendary mystery that's going on with all that.
Oh, okay.
So they were going over some things. Now they can do auto Poke battles where you just throw your Pokemon out, it'll auto battle for you.
See, that's a good move. I think that's something they've needed for a while.
Yes, for just XP grinding stuff. That's
really
clever.
There are so many times in a Pokemon game where I'd be like, I don't really need to kill this Bidoof, but like it's gonna take me through it. Like I have to engage with all the systems just to kill a Bidoof.
Yes. So there was that. They revealed some more about the multiplayer. I guess me and you'd be able to play together, like through the campaign and stuff. Like we'd be on the same map together.
Really?
That's what they were kind of hinting at. They didn't really give us anything for sure.
Okay.
But I feel that'd be really awesome.
I mean, that'd be cool, and it's something Pokemon has also needed for a while. It sounds like a lot of like the wish listy kind of things are coming true for Violet and Scarlet.
Well, I mean, they did a lot of it through Sword and Shield. Like they introduced quite a few things in Sword and Shield, like the co-op battles and everyone working together and doing some things. So I'm not surprised that they've done more to incorporate it for the next game.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think this is the first set of Pokemon games in a while that have actually looked appealing to me. I didn't really think Sword and Shield looked that good. So
it was good. It was really fun.
No, terrible. I've only watched trailers, so I have a fully formed opinion on this.
Right?
And terrible.
Yeah. No, I liked it. It was really interesting. It was a lot of cool things they added and made the DLC was really good.
It was all British, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be similar to like England, and it was really cool. They set up a lot of cool things. The storyline was actually kind of a lot more flushed out. Instead of just the evil guy being evil, it was like, he was doing the stuff he was doing to keep the economy going, to keep the world, keep the island and their whole region together, because it was all based off the Dynamax stuff, and it was creating too much energy, and it was getting out of hand, and it could have it caused a lot of problems, but he couldn't let it go because it was kind of like fossil fuels for us. Like, our fossil fuels are like the thing that are kind of keeping our economy together.
Has there ever been a world war in the Pokemon series?
Yes, they made mention of it in Red and Blue with Lieutenant Surge.
Oh,
Wars with Pokemon.
that's right. Yeah. Okay. Is that the only time they've ever mentioned that?
No, and some of the other things, there was different kind of wars, and but it was always really far in the past, and they never really talked about modern wars.
So what you're telling me is the Pokemon series as a whole is almost like post-apocalyptic. Like, there must have been a point where they fought so hard that it eradicated most of the world, and then the remnants are the Pokemon games, where they've come to live, and they do proxy wars almost through Pokemon.
Yeah, that's what it kind of feels like.
Okay, interesting. I that was always something that I've always asked myself, like, has there been like a World War One for Pokemon?
Yes, apparently there was.
Ah,
So
right.
the other piece of news that I found was more stuff on the Activision Blizzard side of things. More of their lawsuits.
I mean, there's tons of lawsuits there.
Yeah, there's an update.
Oh no.
So another person came out, and she didn't want to fully out herself about the thing, but she was talking about, and she disclosed some emails and stuff about Miguel Vega and some of his BS that he was doing. She gave stories how they met. They started meeting on online gaming together.
Who's Miguel Vega? I don't know who that is.
I guess he was one of the higher ups for the Los Angeles branch of Blizzard and Activision. But
Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. Activision Blizzard faces another sexual harassment suit.
Yep.
Miguel Vega, product manager.
Yeah.
Miguel Vega. What is he even the product manager for? I'm trying to read this real quick.
Probably making sure it's coming out right and coming out on time and stuff like that. Assigning people to jobs and stuff to certain things.
Jeez. I mean, Activision is just getting so sued. I think
So.
I think the main reason they released Overwatch 2 was just to try to pull attention away from most of their lawsuits, because there's really no other reason for Overwatch 2 to exist.
Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind that a lot of this shit went on for as long as it did.
I mean, that doesn't blow my mind. Corporate culture can just reinforce this stuff super hard, and if you want to keep your job, you got to be quiet in a lot of cases.
Which is disgusting.
It is incredibly disgusting, but that's a lot of the time how corporate culture works, especially in tech companies. And it's just fantastic to see that Activision's all that horrific stuff is finally coming out. I mean, it's been coming out for the past 2 years now.
Yes.
And I have a lot of hope that when Microsoft closes the deal for Activision Blizzard, because I'm pretty sure they are, even though Sony's throwing a fit about it. When they close that deal, they're just gonna clean house. I really hope.
Microsoft will.
Because Bobby Kotick is out. He's gonna
Bill
leave.
Gates is evil, but he knows how to keep his company.
You do realize Bill Gates hasn't done anything at Microsoft for 15 years, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
He doesn't own that company anymore. He sold his share.
whatever.
He's now making microchips for all the vaccines. You know that, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, for the 5G.
All right, we're not getting into this.
For the
the bats that have microchips that track us.
That's how you get your
Yeah,
5G
we
cell
should do
service.
something- Like, I particularly don't usually like Kotaku as a news source.
They've gone downhill. They've gone downhill for a while. A lot of their good writers left a couple of
and
years
now they have a
ago.
bunch of people who like to do smear stuff, or
Yeah, their new writers don't source very well.
they kind of do tabloid shit.
Yeah, they do. They've transitioned to that, which is a shame because they used to do really good stuff when like Jason Schreier was there. But I think that's how you pronounce his name. God, I hope that's how you pronounce his name. But he is fantastic. He works for Bloomsburg now, and he is really good. He actually, I think, did the expose that revealed all of the Activision Blizzard stuff in the first place.
So
Yeah. Activision Blizzard, they're gonna get their clocks cleaned when Microsoft picks them up.
So yeah, but I saw this. I read through it. You know,
It's gross. It's terrible. Like,
yeah, it's a shit show.
I mean, one of the accusations against Activision Blizzard accuses them of driving some woman to suicide, like she killed herself. That is how awful this entire festering culture is, and the fact that they've only just gotten wrung out in public opinion and not in courts yet is a shame. They deserve so much more punishment.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that everyone gets the justice they deserve. I believe everyone should get their comeuppance. The people who were hurt get their justice. But I felt this was a good piece of news, like something a little more like, hey, this is like still an issue, and this is coming up, and things are happening that in a good way, and people are coming forth instead of just, hey, the next game's coming out.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure Overwatch 2 is just something to divert attention.
Yeah, smokescreen.
Yeah, because Overwatch 2, and I can kind of talk about this later, it doesn't justify its existence in any way, shape, or form. Like, at all, as far as I can tell. But yeah, I'm glad to see that Activision Blizzard, more stuff is coming to light, that people can get some modicum of justice, and I really hope when Microsoft actually closes that deal next year that they can just take care of that. Like, just make sure that the people who committed these incredibly disgusting acts are properly disposed of, and I mean that in a fired way, not in like a put in a hole in the ground kind of way, but they need to change that corporate culture too, because that corporate culture is gross, absolutely gross.
Absolutely.
And culture change is really hard to do. I would hope Microsoft can actually do it, but it doesn't happen overnight. So it's gonna, like, who's the biggest one that I've seen actually change their culture? Rockstar Games. Rockstar had a super bro-y culture that rewarded incredibly abusive grind and actually just a lot of just abuse in general. They had an expose too, I believe, also by Jason Schreier, and they were bad. It wasn't quite to the level of Activision Blizzard, but it was still particularly gross. And Rockstar, credit to them, the founders, the Housers, they left and Rockstar basically canned everybody that they caught promoting that culture, and they worked really hard, and they changed their culture internally from everything I've seen and I've heard and reports from sources that actually know what they're talking about, that Rockstar has really kind of turned themselves around, and that when Grand Theft Auto 6 launches, it's going to be from essentially a Rockstar Games that you've never really seen before, because it's the one that actually doesn't want to just grind their employees into a bloody paste.
That's good.
That is great. Also, did you see we talked a little bit about the Grand Theft Auto 6 leak before, didn't we?
Yes, but I never watched it. I have not yet watched it.
Okay, I finally caught some glances at it, and I honestly, for it being like basic alpha footage, it's not bad. It actually looks less buggy than the new Saints Row game.
Grand Theft Auto 5 has better graphic textures than Cyberpunk 2027.
Oh no, it wasn't even
2077 release. Like,
it wasn't
they
even
were going
that.
over comparisons.
Yeah.
It was oh my god, it was night and day.
Did you see they announced the sequel to Cyberpunk?
I saw.
So, at this point in time, Cyberpunk is a game that you can play and it is enjoyable. This is also when that game should have released. Like, it should have released in 2022, not 2020.
Yes.
But right now, it's in a good place. It feels good to play. It looks good. It's still buggy, but come on, it was always going to be buggy. Just not to the degree that it released in when it was just broken as all get out. So it's in a good place now. On the other hand, they're just like, okay, we're going to make an expansion pack for it that's releasing next year. Also, we just announced a sequel to it that's going to be everything that we promised 2077 was going to be. And I'm just like sitting here like, no, that can't be accurate.
No, don't do that. That's bad PR. They just should let it go and just do more expansions.
And also, they're doing, 5 Witcher games in the next 6 years?
Jesus.
It's farmed out. Apparently, they have 2 satellite studios that are going to take on 2 of the games. 3 of the games are a trilogy, a new trilogy that is a sequel to the original Witcher trilogy, which, for anyone listening, the Witcher games do not follow the books. The TV show on Netflix follows the books. The video games do not follow the books, and the writer of The Witcher hates them a lot. But he can't do anything about it per his contract.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting. Do you have any news that you looked up?
News that I looked up? I only know news, Kyle. I am fundamentally aware of news. Did we talk about Stadia dying? Was that 2 weeks ago?
That was 2 weeks ago.
Okay. I can never really remember.
One more quick thing I just saw while I was re-going over the article and talking to you about it.
Yeah, sure.
The next gen versions of Persona 3 and 4 are Xbox exclusive.
Really? Why?
This was on Game Rant by the writer is Clint Sterling. Clint Sterling Crier. It was just published 4 hours ago. Atlas confirms that the next-gen versions of Persona 3 and 4 are made natively for the Xbox and will be exclusive to the platform as a result.
Really? That kind of boggles my mind, because really, Xbox isn't what you think of when you think of JRPGs.
No.
I did have a piece of news that I did want to confirm. You saw that they did confirm that Bayonetta's voice was different. It's Jennifer Hale now.
Yes.
It turns out that the original actress, they just couldn't make, they couldn't work out an appointment with her. They said that there was overlapping circumstances such that the original actress was unable to reprise her role as Bayonetta. So Jennifer Hale stepped in, which Jennifer Hale, if you remember, is FemShep from the Mass Effect series, most famously. So
I mean, I like her, but I just super noticed that when they change.
Yes. Yeah, I was like, I really hope that's actually not Bayonetta. No, it is Bayonetta. You were right. And they changed the voice actress.
I am sometimes.
So occasionally.
Let's get on to our game reviews of the first week of our Spooky Spectacular. Now, Andrew, I know you're chomping at the bits to talk about your game.
I didn't like it. I didn't like so.
Do you think we should hold off until the end and let you do the end review, or do you?
That's really up to you. For listeners, I'm doing Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. The latest remasters or remakes of each for Spooky Spectacular, and I completed Resident Evil 1, the remaster from 2014, and I think it should have stayed in 1997. Or whenever it originally came out.
I think possibly you would have liked the 1997 version.
I doubt that. I'm gonna say I doubt that very much. We can wait until the end.
I'll let you go just because I know how excited you were. You're like, it's terrible.
It is. It's so playing through Resident Evil 1. It is not a game about shooting zombies, and it's not a game about puzzles. It's a game about looking at the controller and trying to figure out how to move your character relative to the static screen in front of you. That's the challenge.
Oh, come on. Listen, it is not that bad.
It is bad. It is pretty bad.
No, I'm gonna be defending it because it's just a gaming classic. Yes, it is control. They use the control scheme of the original, which was tank style controls.
So so to put this in perspective, the Resident Evil 1, and I think this is how 2 and 3 were originally before the remakes. Yeah. They are frozen two-dimensional scenes with three-dimensional models in them, and when your character enters a scene, your controls are immediately relative to the screen. So a control of forward, if you enter another screen, is no longer potentially forward. It is horrible. It is absolutely terrible, and I hate it so much. Another game that shared controls like this was the original Grim Fandango. It had tank controls, and it got eviscerated when it came out because of that. They fixed that in the remaster. I don't think they fixed Resident Evil 1 because really I think that was the final boss of the game, was the controls.
It wasn't that bad.
I found it insufferable. I tweaked a lot of the sensitivities to try to make it better, and it never really felt comfortable to play.
Yeah, no. But you have to realize, when the game originally came out, it was the dawn of...
All right, I understand. I get that. And the 2014 remaster is definitely a case of this is nostalgia. You need to understand that. Because everything is just if that was a game that legitimately came out in 2014, it would have been laughed off the stage. It's so bad. The character models are stiff. And here's the thing, they did remaster it. They replaced the character models with new ones, and the new ones look more zombified than some of the zombies.
Yeah, I know.
The cutscenes are so clunky. Everything about the game is clunky. When they kept, because it's a remaster, not a remake, they kept all the loading screens between rooms. When you open a door, it cuts to black, shows a door opening, and then you're in the next scene. And then you're like, oh, crap, I actually have to go back a room. And then you do the same thing, and it's the same little loading screen.
I know.
It's painful. It's so painful. But one thing I did notice, I have never played Resident Evil 1. I have actually played 4, the original 4, because I got to say that, because with the remake coming up in the spring.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I've played 5. I did not play 6. I played 7 and 8, and 8 being the best one, just period. I gotta say that a lot of the mechanics that are repeated, I shouldn't even say mechanics, but motifs of puzzles repeated in the games that I have played are clearly from Resident Evil 1. It's find this key, put these 3 medallions in this thing. Is that painting showing you a hint? Here's an eagle, do something with it. A lot of the central motifs, because in Resident Evil 7 you got to find those it's when you get to the one mansion, don't you have to find those coins to put in statues or something like that?
Yep.
Yeah, and Village has similar stuff to that. You can see where those puzzles kind of came from, and I gotta say, the mansion is cool. It's a cool environment, even though it's very samey until you get to the basement areas. Also, it's a really weird mansion because it's a giant ass mansion that has 2 tiny bedrooms. And isn't there 1 bathroom in it too?
No, I think there's 2.
Yeah.
There's one in the greenhouse, and then there's one in the main.
Okay. If I built a mansion, I wouldn't have 1 bathroom in it.
There'd be at least 10.
It wouldn't really feel like a mansion without more than 1 bathroom. I have more than 1 bathroom in my house, and it's definitely not a mansion.
I have more than one in mine, too.
So, Yeah. The story is, I mean, I think everybody kind of knows the story of Resident Evil 1, but it's there. I don't have much to really talk about. It's kind of like there. It's not particularly involved. At the end, Wesker's just like, bah ha ha, I'm evil. Like,
Now, with that, I was gonna say the dialogue. Let's talk about some.
all right. So I'm pretty sure they changed the dialogue from the original in the remaster, because there was no point where Jill was referred to as a master of unlocking.
There is. It's just it's not as cheesy.
It's a joke, isn't it? It's like an actual joke.
In the original game, it wasn't even supposed to be a joke. It was more just like Jill, our master of unlocking, like trying to be like a serious mind.
Yeah.
It was delivered in such a terrible way, it became a joke.
Also, I would like to ask, Barry has a pretty like sweet Magnum hand cannon. That thing is just cool. I also liked how that's kind of his defining trait, is he has a hand cannon.
Yeah, he's the big guy. That's his whole shtick as a character.
I like that you find out at the very, very near the end of the game that like he all this time was working for Umbrella, and they took his family. That's why he has to work for them, and he'll never help you. And then in the course of 1 minute after you find that out, he helps you.
Yeah.
Like,
That's how it works.
I was like, oh no, Barry's gonna betray me. Oh no, Barry didn't betray me. It was the same cutscene.
Yeah, I know. It's great.
Oh.
It's great. The whole thing. And then they changed his line of, you were almost a Jill sandwich, to, you would almost fit nicely in a sandwich.
It's so, like, it's such...
It does not have the same impact.
It's like a B movie.
Yes, I know. That's why I love it.
And that's the weirdest thing, because the later on Resident Evils kind of take themselves pretty seriously. Especially when they swapped over to the complete tonal shift of like 7 and 8. Those ones take themselves dead seriously.
Yes.
But boy, yeah. So Resident Evil 1, I did not enjoy it very much. The controls really got me on that. I understand that probably when it came out, it was a big deal. But it's also a relic of its time, and I think tastes have changed. So I get where it's coming from. I didn't like it that much. Also, I appreciate at the end of the game, they just chuck you a rocket launcher and they're like, blow up that dude. And then you pick up the rocket launcher. The game then asks you in the menu if you're sure you want to equip the rocket launcher. And that kind of just sold me on like the idea that this game really is from the 90s. It's like, here's this thing we told you to use, but are you sure you want to use it? The puzzles were okay. I gotta be honest, I kind of used a guide on it because the controls just screwed with me so much that I didn't feel like just running with nonsense throughout the mansion.
You just like, let's just get this done.
Yeah. I did want to get it done. It wasn't a particularly long game. I think it took me maybe like 6-7 hours.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it shouldn't have taken even that long, really. But you're probably struggling with the controls. The
controls is just fucking with me so bad. So I didn't like it, but I understand that is a game of note that at one point was probably like crazy revolutionary. I just did not like it whatsoever. Now, I have played like 30 minutes of Claire's story for Resident Evil 2, the remake, and I very much enjoy that. That was way better.
You start with Claire.
I didn't know which one to start with, so I just picked Claire.
Canon is Leon. You start with Leon.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it just opens up the screen and it says pick Leon or Claire. And
because the original games, you could choose which disc you started with.
Oh, okay.
So how the original game worked is it came with 2 discs.
Okay.
It came with a Leon disc and a Claire disc. And the way it would is the game would play out differently between which disc you started with. So if you started with the Claire disc, it would play with Claire first and then go from there.
Okay.
And then it would swap the story up based on that.
Okay, does that apply to the remake? Like, if you start with Claire, do you get a completely different full gameplay than if you started with Leon?
Completely different. Like, the story notes are still the same. It's just, it changes aspects.
Okay, alright.
The telling of it on, like, how everything goes. So, it just swaps it out a little bit. It's not crazy. It's not super noticeable. But actually, I'd actually say stick with Claire first because I went Leon with it. So it'll give me a different point of view for when we talk about it.
Okay, I was gonna say, like I said, I didn't sink a lot of time. I only put like 30 minutes in, but
Yeah.
the controls were fantastic. Like, I was like, this is revolutionary. Third person controls that work.
Yeah, well, you know.
But it also looks great, and boy, is the design pretty terrifying.
Yeah, it's
Like-
great. It's super atmospheric. It's super well done. Now, when you get to 3,
The hesitancy in your voice there.
3,
3, they just dropped the ball on, didn't they?
you should be done with 3 in about 5 hours.
Yeah, I've heard it's like crazy short.
It is. It's ridiculous short.
I hope they keep how long Resident Evil 4 was for the remake next March, because 4 was stellar.
Yeah, 4 had some length.
Yeah, it did.
So, now that you played 1,
Mm-hmm.
now you gotta do 2,
Yeah. Yep.
then you gotta do 3,
Yes.
and at some point you gotta do 6.
I've seen 6 for sale for like $5, and I'm like, that seems like too much.
No, that's the right price.
Are you sure?
Yes. I
Uh,
paid 60 for it, and I regret that.
I
paid
would
5 for it.
I would regret that too if I paid 60 for it.
Well, I didn't know it was going to be that bad when I bought it.
It's okay. A coworker of mine bought it on release day too for $60, and he came in like 2 days later, and he's like, "That I should have not done that." And I was like, "Yep, that sounds right." Yeah, six is the only other one I will not have experienced. By the way, is there another? I saw something about Resident Evil 2 remake where if you there was some way to play a third story. Is there a third story in the Resident Evil 2 remake? Some about Hunk?
Oh, that's the Mercenaries mode.
Oh, okay.
So when you do the Mercenaries mode,
Yeah.
it gives you like what Hunk went through and how he handled
Oh, okay, yeah. I saw somebody refer to that as a third story. Okay.
it. It more or less is. It's a story, but it's Mercenaries mode as well.
Okay. By the way, before I forget, did you see that they shortened Lady D for the Mercenaries mode in Resident Evil Village?
All right, not buying it.
They made her shorter. By like 2 feet.
Well, yeah, it'd be kind of hard to really. I get it because with the things that are going around, it's going to make it really hard to do combat if you're actually the 10 feet tall.
That comes out on October 28th.
I know. I'm excited.
And supposedly, I don't know if you mentioned this last week or it's something I read, but the DLC will end the Winters family story. There will be no more involvement with Rose or anything else in the future. The next Resident Evil is going to be completely different.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm really interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, because Bayonetta 3 also comes out on that day.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
So
a lot of
what
stuff.
we're going to have to figure it out is which one was playing Bayonetta first and which one was doing Resident Evil first.
I call Resident Evil.
Or what we could do is we just do them both simultaneously. So it's like me and you will grind out in the first week the Resident Evil. Because I can't assume it's going to take us more than a week or so.
No, I'm guessing that the Resident Evil DLC, I don't expect it to be that long.
So I figured then we'll just get Bayonetta at the same time too and we'll grind it out together.
Why do we gotta be grinding it out? Why can't we play it at a leisurely rate?
Okay. We can do it a leisurely rate, but at least that way we're at least somewhat on the same timeline.
That's fair. How long is Resident Evil 2 the remake?
It's actually quite a bit of time.
Okay. I mean,
It's actually quite a bit of time investment.
okay. I mean, I'm gonna be playing it as like my primary game for a bit here, even though I'm very slowly working towards the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yes.
Very slowly. I'm actually going through and cleaning up all the side quests that I have accumulated over time in Xenoblade.
Okay.
So that's what's taking me so long.
Let me know if you get that hero.
I will let you know if I get anything like special on that. Yeah.
Because I went back and tried again and still have nothing.
So I actually run into, I don't know if it's a bug, but I haven't looked it up yet. There is a hero quest conversation that I am supposed to have with Riku and Manana, and it's supposed to take place at the city cantina or something like that. But if I click on it and it's like, do you want to fast travel to this? And I click yes, it says it is unavailable to do so at this point. And it's been like that for like 10 hours of game time.
Is that the Ghost Ship one?
I don't know. It's Fortune Clovers. Fortune Clovers with Riku and Manana. It says it has a hero quest symbol on it. But it was available before I went to Agnes Castle, and I just didn't do it. And then after Agnes Castle, it won't let me do it, even though I have access to the city.
Yeah, there's quite a few things that are messed up. Like I think that's why. I think if you go so far, the game just doesn't allow you to go back.
Ugh. I really want to finish that.
I think that's the quest where you get their level up.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. We're off on a tangent here, Kyle. This is review time. What have
You're the one who went sideways.
I don't know what you're talking about. What have you finished? Did you finish anything for Spooky Spectacular?
For Spooky Spectacular, I decided to tackle the Condemned series.
Oh, I love that series.
It was a game series that I knew came out on the Xbox 360, but I ignored it because at the time I was a mouth-breathing Call of Duty frat boy.
I remember those days. Yeah, I remember that.
It was all Call of Duty, Gears of War. If it didn't have explosions, I didn't want nothing to do with it. Halo.
Yep.
And I missed out on this. There's a lot of games that I'm going to go back and replay because I missed out on them when they were their original selves. So this was one of the games for Spooky Spectacular. I decided to. This is the series. I'm actually going to play the whole series to tackle. I started with Condemned: Criminal Origins. It was developed by Monolith Productions through the publisher of Sega. It came out in November 22, 2005. And it definitely came out during that time. The models are super blocky, super weird looking. The control scheme, because I played it for Steam, did not support a Joy-Con joystick, which is super weird since it did come out first on. Since it did come out first on Xbox, I figured the plug-in because I have a Duke. I figured it'd just plug right in like it does with so many other games and just have an auto set control scheme. No. On top of it, the control scheme that you can set up is so limited that you are still having to use the keyboard for a lot of the major functions. So what I did was just learn the control scheme on my computer. Because fortunately it was pretty close to League of Legends, so I could...
Condemned: Criminal Origins. Very close to League of Legends.
Like the keyboard setup was.
Nope, that's the quote now.
You're right. So, the character models are very Play-Doh-y, very angular, definitely of the time. The voice acting is also, just like you have with yours is definitely of the time, this is definitely of the time of this. Voice acting, you can tell wherever everyone did it, they definitely did it in different rooms and definitely did it in different times. Because some of the tones don't attach to what the cutscene is. The storyline's a little bit of a mess, but the thing that this game excelled at more than anything was the atmosphere. I get spooked at scary games. I jump and all that. And some of the older ones I don't really jump at because they're so wonky, so weird that it doesn't scare me. But this, the atmosphere, the setup was super great. So I'm going to get into the technical aspects, and then we'll go over the story.
Okay.
So to start with, the character models. All the character models, when I freeze framed them because I recorded the whole game, me playing. I have a whole recording of me playing it from beginning to end.
Wow.
The character models are definitely reproductions of classic horror movie characters.
Really?
The homeless are like just generic dudes, but when we started getting into the sewers and some of the other parts, there was a bunch of drug addicts in the subway station that were like living in the tunnels. They're zombies. They're literally zombies. Like, when you kill them and look at their character models, they are 100% zombies. Later on, I met a homeless guy, and he was just the big bruiser type, and he was a werewolf. Literally, his character model is that of a werewolf. He looks like the werewolf from the old classic black and white movie.
Huh? Like the Wolfman?
Yeah, it looked exactly like the Wolfman. Like the same beard texture, like the same costume makeup. Even his hands were fuzzy like it. So it made me laugh. The thing that got me the most and the scariest part of the game for me was number one the subway system and going through the tunnels and that. They made it so dark. And there's just so much noise, and they did such a good job with echo sounds in the game that you were never sure how far away an enemy was or how close they were. And because there's always some constant noise in it, it felt like a real sewer and subway system. I became extremely paranoid every time I walked around a corner because am I going to get jumped? Is something going to happen to me? It was just the atmosphere they set up in that game was beautiful. The other one that got me was the department store.
Yeah, okay, that one's great.
That one was fantastic.
Yeah.
Now the setting of that was it's a shutdown department store, and it was all destroyed, and then the homeless and crackheads and drug addicts and all them decide to squat there. At the very beginning of the game, you hear some talking, and then you see somebody throwing down some stairs at you with a sign that says "Leave" around their neck, tied to their neck. And you see a guy walking away in a tuxedo, which was really cool. It was really creepy. And the best part is all the character models, when they're walking through, like I said, the atmosphere. If you step on glass, it would make glass crunching noises. Well, the way they set the map is whatever would activate around you walking would also activate for them. So as they were walking some of the unsturdy wooden planks, they would make the creaking noises. So it really brought me into the game. The graphical limitations, yes, were like noticeable, but because the atmosphere was done so well, I was able to be in the game. The enemies for that were crazy people who glued mannequin skin to themselves.
Yep.
And they would pretend to be mannequins. And some of them were really noticeable, and some of them weren't. And it bothered me so much. It freaked me out. Like I said, the graphics, but because they did the atmosphere so well, it put me on the edge of my seat, and I loved every minute of it. Cheetah saw me jump once or twice. She made fun of me, and I really liked it. Now, the storyline was a mess. So, you start out as an FBI agent investigating a crime. You're a profiler trying to investigate a serial killer called the Matchmaker. and it starts introducing you into the tutorials and stuff and all that. Well, during the first part of the matchmakers mission where you're trying to find him, a man shows up. You chase him down. You go to turn on some lights. The fuse box explodes. You drop your weapon, and the suspect takes it and runs away with it. He doesn't even run away. He mockingly pretends to shoot you and then walks away with your weapon. And then you have to inform the other police officers that somehow this suspect has gotten hold of your weapon and to be careful. Well, he also then kills the other cops that were on the scene, and the FBI instantly believes that you killed them because it was your weapon that shot them. So he instantly believes, the FBI instantly believes that you murdered these police officers and that you have finally snapped and under all the pressure of all your cases.
Immediately.
That's immediately.
Immediately.
There was no lead up to it. So then the story goes on where you're just kind of running from the cops and trying to find this suspect and catch him because you're trying to clear your name. So as we get into the game, this is where it starts getting wonky. So the storyline was pretty well told. The only two things that they didn't really explain is, number one, why all the city's homeless, drug addicts, transients, and everybody else went crazy and just went on crazy murder sprees. Like, they're just killing each other constantly. And they never explain that. They never explain it once. And it's really weird because, like, you know,
isn't there
what made all these people lose their minds?
Isn't there that thing you kill at the end of the game?
Yes, I was going to get to that.
Okay.
Because they don't explain what it is or how it works, so they don't explain why everyone went crazy. They put a MacGuffin there to say this is why, but they don't explain how this thing made them go crazy. This thing exists, that's why everyone went crazy. But it doesn't make sense. So as you get about halfway, and all you're doing is you're going to different spots to try to find this murderer, and you still think you're trying to find the matchmaker killer. Well, during the department store, you find a guy who fits all the evidence to the matchmaker, who's dead, who's been killed by his own method on how he kills people. So then you find out that there's another serial killer that's been going around and killing other serial killers. And all the other serial killers that he's been killing are the ones that the main character was investigating at one point or another. And all of a sudden, all those cases went cold because this new serial killer was killing off all the other serial killers. So that's when this game takes a hard turn to weird. So this is where it starts getting, like, first you're seeing visions of, like, the killers and their methods because you're apparently, a profiler, so you're trying to put yourself in their shoes. Well, then it starts giving way to, like, hallucinations, like shadows walking out of the wall and punching you in the face, and some creepy guy with half his jaw gone and replaced with a metal piece who's got two karate fighting sticks coming at you all the time. And then all of a sudden he disappears in the wall. And you don't actually deal with that enemy until almost the last level and a half of the game. Like, they make the introduction of this villain in the very first or second level, but you never deal with him until the very end.
Yep.
And it was really weird because it's not even like it was the main killer or a super specific person. It was just a later game enemy that they just kept using as like a foreshadow for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we get into Looney Tune Town, you have to go, and once you learn that there's serial killers killing serial killers, he goes to a old abandoned school to find evidence on the one serial killer because he kind of figure out who he is, and what he has to do with. So you're going there to try to beat the new serial killer from killing the old serial killer. Well, when you get to the school, there's a bunch of Cenobite weird zombie guys running around, which make no sense. They're in this school, they talk like children, but they're grown men. They have plastic tubes wrapped around their mouths and throat, and they look like Cenobites. And their leader is a lunch lady of the school. And they never explain why she's still there, what she's doing, why does she have all these little S&M freak Cenobite guys around her. It's really weird. And we do this entire school level with dealing with this, and it's, oh my god, it's so weird. So then you find the last serial killer, that's dead, and he's dead, and then all of a sudden this guy shows up and goes, hey, I know where to go, follow me. And he was like that guy who's trying to help you from the very beginning of the game. He just knows where to go all the time. So you get to the last level, and this was actually one of my favorite levels as well. You get to this house in the middle of nowhere, and you have to investigate. You have to investigate and find clues to figure out where the serial killer's hiding. And it was really done well, and it was beautiful sequencing. It was all around put together very well. So after you do that, you eventually find the super serial killer. You fight him, and right when you're about to just finally kill him and or arrest him, the guy who's been helping you jumps in, knocks you out, and you find out that the serial killer is his nephew. And he's trying to stop his nephew from being a serial killer because something's making him crazy and making him a serial killer. So you wake up, you get tortured by the super serial killer until his Uncle Reese shows up, knocks him down, and they get into a fight in a burning barn. And he goes, run, hurry up, go kill it. It's over in the other barn. If you go kill it, it'll make everything better. And at this point, I'm like, kill what? What is going on? So then you have to fight giant burned up hillbillies.
Yeah, I remember that fight.
The ninja guy with the karate tonfas.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of other people during this whole sequence. And then you get to this other barn, and there's just some dude standing there clicking in like the Predator. Like he's just making noises. And he's got all these metal chunks hanging off him, and his jaw's gone, and it's so crazy. And then it turns into a giant I'm trying to think of how you would refer to not a boss fight, but a gauntlet. Good, that's one. Gauntlet. It turns into a gauntlet where you have to fight just waves and waves of enemies. And then when you finally beat all them, then you have to fight this giant metal guy. And he's not even giant. He's like
he's like tall, but he's not like huge, right?
He's like 6'9" instead of like 6 foot.
Yeah.
And when you're fighting him, he does a bunch of like karate ninja sword stuff, like old samurai movies. And it's really crazy because he starts spinning his sword. Well, it's not even a sword, it's a pipe. He's got a giant pipe, and he's spinning it like a samurai, and he's flipping around, trying to do karate at you. And it still never explains any of this, and what he is, or what his purpose is. And it was so crazy. It wasn't a very hard boss fight. It was fairly easy.
So, I will tell you, the sequel does explain it.
I figured. But after you beat that thing by ripping out, it's got like certain metal parts. It's got a metal spine, a metal plate on its shoulder, and a metal chest piece, and a metal jaw. And after you rip all them off, you kill it. And then you move on to the next sequence where the uncle's like, hey, you did it. And your character's still freaking out. He's like seeing stuff still. And he makes the guy pull over because he realizes his nephew's in the trunk of the car tied up. So he's like, I'm going to kill him and end all this now. I have to kill him. He's a serial killer now. It doesn't matter if he was driven crazy by that, whatever that thing was. I have to kill him. And then it gives you a quick time event where you have 5 seconds to decide what you're going to do.
What'd you do, Kyle? What'd you do?
I waited too long and I went to shoot him, but it was, I guess the 5 seconds were already up. So he pulls out a gun and shoots himself. While giant versions of the ninja guy are around me chittering in my ear. Oh my God, it's all over the place. So, and like I said, all over the place, about halfway through the game, about when you're starting to, try to find the other serial killer, you get that little sequence where you find out that you have super strength, and you're super durable, and you're super smart for no reason. Like, the government is, like, watching you because your muscle density is, like, 5 times that of a normal athlete for no reason.
There's a reason. It's just in the sequel, Kyle.
Yes, but I'm saying, if you didn't know there was a sequel or you played this game originally, you have no idea what's going on.
I mean, clearly it was setting up a sequel. Like, they were like, oh yeah, we'll answer all this later on.
Yeah, they were just dangling all these strings out, and then you're like, what is going on? Why does this have to do with anything?
By the way, if you think all that was weird, you're gonna really love the sequel.
Oh, I'm going to love the sequel no matter what. So then at the end, the last cutscene is the main character sitting at a diner, and his old partner walks in, and she's trying to talk to him and ask him why he quit the bureau, and is trying to like question him, and he went to answer, and she hurry up and writes on a napkin that I'm wired. So he kind of answers the question, and then they kind of throw the word cult or secret group out there in the middle of the ether. So then your character goes to the bathroom, throws up, and then hallucinates to where he's the guy with the metal jaw. And that's how the game ends.
What if he is the guy with the metal jaw?
Halfway through the game, I was like, maybe he is a serial killer and he just doesn't know it yet.
What if he is the main character of the game and he doesn't know it?
Yeah, so that. So
they answer all of it in the sequel, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but the answers you're seeking are going to be pretty wild. It was a very polarizing sequel.
Sweet. So, I wanted to retouch on the graphics one more time. One of the things that scared me the most was during the department store thing, an enemy was hiding behind a box.
Okay.
And like most of hide animations are normal.
Yeah.
His head spun around. So his body was facing away from me, but his head was raised up about 3 inches, and his head was facing towards me, just floating.
Huh.
And it was such a graphical glitch, and I'm going to put hopefully a screenshot or a showing of that graphical glitch in there, because it was so crazy, because it freaked me out. I was like, why is his head backwards?
Yeah, that's a pretty wild glitch.
And then I got so distracted with that, he hurried up and sprang to life and jumped at me and beat me with a pipe. So it was really unsettling, because it threw me off.
Also, the beating to death with a pipe would probably
He
be
didn't beat me to death. I killed him, but he started beating me with a pipe.
That's pretty
crazy.
good.
So I enjoyed it. That game has a lot of... It was definitely a game of its time.
Mm-hmm.
But the atmosphere that they did with it was so stellar and so next level that I'm super excited about playing the next one.
I was going to say, Kyle, you know that Condemned is 17 years old, right?
Yes. Did you realize that Resident Evil is even older?
Oh, yeah, I know. You can still tell, even with that remaster. Oh, God, can you still tell?
Resident Evil's 23 years old comparatively to Condemned.
Yeah, it was wild. The sequel is good. It's very polarizing. It's not. It is not the same game as the first game. I'll tell you that much. It's not that constant tension atmosphere. They changed it up a little bit. It's still good. It's just don't go into it expecting the same game.
Okay. I will go into it with a fresh mind and
it gets completely Looney Tunes in the last third. Like, just completely.
yeah. The main thing that attracted me to the series is actually Yahtzee Croshaw. He loved it. So, and his criticisms, I respect a lot of his criticisms. Some of them are harsh, some of them are, but most of his criticisms are pretty on point. Cheetah hates him, but I do like it because it's a very blunt, sometimes over the top criticism, but they're usually, the points he makes are actual points that are worthwhile to know. So he criticized the games, and what he criticized the first one about, I can definitely agree with, and not to be on his nuts, but he was pretty accurate. So, like he said, he loved the second one all the way up until about the last third, like you said, and then it went to Toontown.
Yeah, it does. It goes right to Toontown. Like,
so I'm looking forward to it.
Honestly, so I wasn't even upset too much about the Toontown thing. If they would have made a third and it was just purely Toontown, I probably would have still played it. I liked that series, and I was sad that it just never went anywhere. After the second one.
Yeah. So that's my feeling on that. And we're gonna get on to the next games. You're gonna be on 2. I'm gonna be on 2 as well. I'm hoping you get through 2 so you can get to 3 so we can end out our Spooky Spectacular month with you completing the 1, 2, and 3 of Resident Evil. Which you should be able to do because Resident Evil 3 Remake is more or less just DLC for Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
It adds maybe 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
I think it took me 6 only because I kept dying a bunch or I wasn't paying attention.
You were just idly thumbing the stick on the controller, and you just finished the game in time anyways.
Oh, I remember why it took me 6 hours. Because I spent an hour and a half trying to figure out why something wasn't working. And that's because if you veer off to the one street, it sequence breaks. And then the cutscenes don't activate. So the cutscenes wouldn't activate, and things wouldn't load into place where they were supposed to be.
That's pretty great.
I had a couple of zombies just stand there, not moving, couldn't move because everything loaded up weird, so they didn't complete their animation.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty good.
But that was on release day, so I'm pretty sure.
They had to have patched it at this point. I would hope they've patched it. I mean, I'll let you know.
Yeah, because I'm going to bring it to your house probably over the weekend. So there's that. Next week on our movies channel, we are going to be covering for our last day of the Spooky Spectacular. I believe that's the last Thursday for the movie side. Yep, the 20th will be the last one.
Yep.
We'll be going over the 2018, 2020, and 2022 versions of Halloween. We're gonna, me, Dan, and Gregor, hopefully gonna have a full to-do about that. And we'll see how that goes.
Halloween in October? Are you sure?
Yeah, right? But yeah, we're going over the full new Halloween series. The first one was really good. Me and Greg haven't watched the second one. Dan just finished the first one, so we're gonna. What the plan is we're going to. Dan's gonna watch it on his own, the second one, and we and Greg are gonna watch the second one together, and then all three of us are gonna go to the movie theaters and watch the third one together.
So I also think you should throw in the new Rob Zombie Monsters TV show. You know, just
we already watched that. We already watched that. Actually, we talked about it last week.
Oh, did you? Was it good?
No.
What? All right, I don't think I can take this criticism seriously.
Well, go ahead and watch the show that you're on. Watch the show that you're on.
What?
And you'll have our criticism.
What's a movie?
But
is that like a video game?
What it was. It was a movie.
All right. That sounds good. I have not watched any Halloween film aside from the first one, like the actual first one. So I look forward to hearing about the new Halloween series I didn't even know existed.
Yes, you should watch them. They're pretty good.
Do they have Michael Myers in them?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Oh, all right. Maybe I'll take a look.
Yep. They have some guy named Steve Cogswell. But yeah, so we will catch you guys in 2 weeks for the last rendition of our Spooky Spectacular game side.
Spooky.
Spooky. So, ghouls and gals, please tune in, follow our Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please check us out on our Teespring, our Discord. We now have our Discord up. We just had some more new members. It's picking up. We encourage audience participation in our Discord because that's what helps us be able to fine-tune our content to what you would like or to give us ideas on new content for us to roll with. You know, we had one person already suggest that we watch the John Wick movies. We're going to wait till all of them come out, and then we're probably going to do a Blockbuster Summer Edition where we go over Blockbuster-style movies the whole month.
Wait, Blockbuster-style movies, are those movies that are in a store for a long time and then go out of business?
No.
Oh, okay, my bad.
No. So, please, check us out. Check out all of our affiliates. We have links into our description. I always have them posted. I will always keep posting them until we get more people. Shout out. So, have a good night and have a good fright.
Night, everybody.